Okay, let's get into the details. So, the core tool or foundational tool that I use is the model, which was created by Brooke Castillo. You'll hear people refer to it as the self coaching model, sometimes the thought model. I like to refer to it as the personal accountability model because I truly believe that anyone who uses it consistently ends up taking absolute personal accountability for their lives. And that is an amazing and empowering thing. But you'll mostly hear me refer to it as simply the model because, quite frankly, that's just easier. Again, the model is a tool created and taught by Brooke Castillo, who is the founder of the Life Coach School. If you're familiar at all with cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, the model is not going to be completely new to you. Actually, there are many iterations of the same or similar combinations of these elements that make up the model found throughout history and taught by various people. I just find the way that Brooke packaged these concepts, it's very approachable, it's very user friendly, and it's a great way for people to use it to do this work, which is why I chose to get certified to use the model. The model is a tool for personal development and self-improvement. It is the core tool used by every coach certified through the Life Coach School, myself included. But I do have several other certifications and a master's degree in human performance improvement. So while the model is foundational in my teaching and coaching, I do take a much deeper and just quite frankly different approach to how I use it that I believe has a much bigger impact on my clients. And sharing my unique approach is the purpose of this series of videos. The model consists of five components: circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. The idea is that every experience we have in life can be broken down and put into one of these five categories, the categories of the model. So, simply put, circumstances exist. We have a thought about the circumstance. That thought causes us to experience an emotion, a feeling. That feeling drives our actions, our behaviors, and those actions create a result or an experience in our lives. We can use the model to break down our experiences and take a closer look at what's happening and why. This slows everything down and it raises our awareness. Awareness precedes change, so this is really essential. And it's a process that the vast majority of people never even think about when they're trying to make a change. Once we have this level of awareness, we can then play around with changing one part of the model to see how it impacts everything else, ultimately experimenting until we find a better thought, feeling, and action, that combination that gets us the result we want. Let's take a closer look at each line of the model. So you have the C line, that's your circumstance. That is anything that is objectively, concretely true and can be proven without interpretation or judgment. You have the T line, that's your thought. Your thought is a sentence your brain creates about the circumstances. Again, our thoughts are the interpretations, beliefs, or opinions we have about the circumstances. These thoughts can be positive, negative, neutral, and they can vary widely from person to person, even regarding the exact same circumstance. Many coaches are strictly mindset coaches, and their focus is on coaching the T line only. This is great. This is very impactful and important work because when we learn how to manage our mind, regardless of what's going on around us, our entire lives become better. But it's just not enough to focus only on mindset if you want substantial and sustainable change as a leader. So while the model is the foundational tool I use in coaching, I go much deeper into the other elements, specifically feelings and actions. Then we have the F line. That's feelings. So that's the emotion triggered by the thought. At least that's how it's defined in the model. I'm going to say a little bit more on that in a minute. So the F line is where my coaching starts to vary from many other leadership coaches. I consider the work we do in this space energetics work, which is really just helping people learn how to manage their emotional health and vitality. I'm going to share a lot more about this in the next video because I have a lot to say about how important this aspect of the work is for leadership development. I actually think it's probably the most important part of leadership because without this, you really can't be your best self. Next, we have the A line. That's our actions. Our feelings drive our actions and behaviors. So, this just means that how we act or react in a situation is influenced by the emotions we're experiencing at that moment. The A line includes action, inaction, and reaction. Basically, everything you're doing and not doing, including actions that aren't visible, like ruminating and worrying. And because I'm a leadership coach, a lot of leaders ruminate, a lot of leaders worry. I do consider these actions because they're taking up precious time and energy, and they are for sure impacting your results. Coaches trained at the Life Coach School, myself included, are specifically trained to not coach on the A line, but as a leadership coach, I take a different approach. I'm a consultant, a trainer, and a coach. That means that I teach you the leadership skills you need to be successful, which is very often actions and behaviors, so the A line. And I coach you on the mindset and energetics necessary to actually implement those new skills. Like I mentioned in the first video, most traditional leadership development programs you're going to find in a corporate setting focus only on the action line or skill set. They start and stop with what to do and what not to do, but not considering the rest of the model, especially the thought and the feeling lines, is a huge miss. And this miss results in an unthinkable amount of money wasted every single year. I also utilize the A line actions to influence the F line feelings by using somatic practices to shift energy and emotional states. I'm going to talk a lot more about this in the next video as well. Then we have the R line, which is results. This is the direct effect of the above actions. The actions we take and don't take create the results we have in our lives. These results often reinforce our initial thoughts and create a feedback loop, a self fulfilling prophecy of sorts. Using the model to raise awareness of what is happening and why, in and of itself, will change your leadership. Actually, it's going to change your entire life. Then, once you have that awareness, you can begin to make real, substantial, and sustainable change also using the model. I like to think of it like a diagnosis of the current state. That is, figuring out the current thought, feeling, action combinations, creating your current results. Then using the tool again to prescribe a better thought, feeling, action combination to get a better result. And awareness precedes change. So the model empowers you to do both, raise your awareness and use it to actually make changes. The way I use the model in my programs is especially powerful for leadership because it goes deep on all three of the critical elements. We have the mindset. This is learning how to become the boss of your own brain. It's how to manage your mind and lead yourself powerfully. Then we have the energetics work. This is learning how to regulate your nervous system for emotional health and vitality. Without that, you will never, ever be at your best in your leadership. And then we have the skill set. This is the nuts and bolts of leadership. It's the how of leadership. And you will be able to do it with so much more ease when you combine it with mindset and energetics. The final video in this series is a much closer look at the importance of that emotional health and vitality for effective leadership. I personally think this work is what separates exceptional leaders from the rest, and that's why I put a lot of emphasis on it in the work that I do with my clients. So I will see you in the third and final video in this series.